Hi folks, Wooden Boat Dan here. Just wanted to give you a heads up. The podcast you're about to listen to was recorded several years ago, so some of the phone numbers, email addresses, website links, and time-sensitive information are no longer valid. Please keep that in mind as you listen. If you'd like to contact me, my email address is woodenboatdan@gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Welcome to Hooked on Wooden Boats, podcast episode number 133. I'm your host, Dan Matson, aka Wooden Boat Dan. If you can't do it, lots of people can. This is the world's first podcast fully dedicated to celebrating the art, craft, history, tradition, and romance of wooden vessels around the globe. Thanks for joining me today, folks. Good to have you on board the good ship Hooked on Wooden Boats. We're going to have some fun again today, as usual. The featured segment is an interview I did with Dick Wagner, who's the founder of the Center for Wooden Boats in Seattle, and Aislinn Palmer, who's the director of the Wooden Boat Festival there. The 38th annual Lake Union Wooden Boat Festival is coming up this July 4th through the 6th in Seattle, Washington, at the Center for Wooden Boats at their South Lake Union facility. This is their 38th consecutive year. They started in 1976, so I had an idea it would be fun to sit down with Dick, who was there for the very first festival, and talk about how that happened, and talk about the history of the festival and some fun trivia. And then have Aislinn, the current festival director, talked about this year's festival. So that's what we've done. It was really a fun interview, so I would encourage you to stick around for that. Not too much going on in my wooden boat world right this moment, but I did want to mention to you that there's some pretty cool videos being put out by Mystic Seaport in Connecticut. And if you go to youtube.com/Mystic Seaport Videos. I'll give you that one more time. youtube.com/Mystic, spelled MYSTIC, Seaport, SEAPORT, videos. They've got, 10 or 15 short videos there. Most of them are between 1 and 3 minutes in length, which I really like that. Sometimes I don't want to watch a 15 or 20 minute video. But this morning I just watched one about what sea shanties are, kind of their history and purpose, which is really fascinating. So I would encourage you to check that out. Again, youtube.com/Mystic Seaport Videos. We've got a new subscriber this week, Dan Fillingham. Thanks for subscribing to the podcast newsletter, which usually goes out once a month, not every month, but most months, probably 10 or 11 months out of the year. If you'd like to subscribe to that free newsletter, you can go to hookedonwoodenboats.com/subscribe. Next on the agenda, I'm going to play a message from Ralph Zur. He left this on my voicemail message, which, by the way, you can leave a 90-second message for me from your computer or your smartphone by going to hookedonwoodenboats.com/. I know, I always get to this part and I can't remember if it's voicemail or voice message. Let me look here real quick. hookedonwoodenboats.com/voicemail. So anyway, we're going to roll this short message from Ralph. Take it away, Ralph.
Hey Dan, this is Ralph Zur. Thanks for the email about tips for storage in the garage. Here's what I used, which is a little different from yours. I have an 18-foot sea kayak, and I suspend it from the ceiling by using the garage door track for one end with a loop of rope, and I have another loop near the bow which runs up and down on a pulley to hold it up out of the way. It works quite fine. Good luck with your garage project. I really enjoyed the podcast. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Ralph, for responding to my last newsletter where I talked about how I've organized my garage, which is a fairly small space, at least based upon what I've had previously. And I appreciate you getting back to me on that and also your kind words about the podcast. So hope you have a great day, Ralph. Okay, so we're going to move on to the interview with Dick and Aislinn. I have to tell you a quick story here. So I go down to the Center for Wooden Boats to do these interviews. I'd set them up with my friend Dan Leach there. And so I sit down with Dick and Aislinn, and we start the recording for the podcast. And we got a really good start going. We're about 5 minutes into it, and I look down at my digital audio recorder, and the light's blinking, thinking, Well, anyway, I hadn't turned it on yet. It was in standby, so we had to start over. But I'm glad it wasn't more than about 5 minutes into it, which is kind of embarrassing when you've been doing this for almost 3 years now. So anyway, it's a really fun interview, so we're going to roll the tape, starting first with Dick and then moving on to Aislinn. Okay, we're actually going to start this time. We had we started the interview with Dick and didn't have the recorder on. But anyway, I'm at the Center for Wooden Boats, Lake Union, Seattle, Washington, with Dick Wagner and Aislinn Palmer. And we're going to talk about the festival and so on. So welcome to the podcast, Dick. We're going to start with you.
Okay.
And as I already asked you, but we're going to ask again, is tell us how the festival started, Dick.
Well, it was really in the late 1960s when my wife and I discussed the fact that all of the about dozen boat shops around the lake had turned down or about to turn down building any more wooden boats. They could not compete with fiberglass, and we had collected 5 traditional wooden boats, and so we decided to rent them at a very low amount for the people to understand and what traditional wooden boats were really all about. And that was behind our houseboat. But so many people came. We get a lot of free advertisement. The ABC, CWB, and the other ones interviewed me, and we got interviewed by the newspapers, and it was so it was a lot of people were excited about it, not just because they could use the boats, but because they had an opportunity to see and look and find out all about how were they made, where were the materials, where were the wood, where do you get the plans, and we just became a place where people just couldn't resist coming. A lot of people would take their brown bag lunch with them, and just so they could rent a boat. And there was more and more discussion about this is really a great value for the community. Maybe we should expand it, get more boats. And I was getting more boats because we were so busy that the few people who were young but good were making boats in their backyard, and they were happy to come to me after they had sold boats to their roller relatives. So it finally came to our point where we felt that we would do a lot of talking, and we should kind of confine the talking to something that we were thinking about. My wife and I creating a museum where you could play with the exhibits at a place where there would be programs for people of all ages and all abilities. And so finally, I sent out a message to about 20 of the most people that spent probably half their lifetimes in our houseboat to come to this meeting. And I didn't tell them what it was about. But 40 people showed up. We had to arrange them very carefully so the houseboat didn't get wet. And after they were sitting on the floor and standing up, and and I said, "This is about how should we start become a nonprofit organization and have a museum with." The programs that we're doing here now, but more better ways of giving the public experiences in their maritime heritage experiences. And they all said, yes, that's a great idea. And I said, okay, you're on the board. At that point, we started meeting monthly, and it was decided that there were maybe close to 1,000 people, or maybe even more, that were said that they would support us, but that is that wasn't enough to have a organization going, and so we decided to have a boat festival. Have everybody, not just with the few small boats that we own, which had by that time there were about 20 of them, but we asked all the people that we had come to bring their boats, and we try to get a whole diversity of boats, and have a festival. So I started looking around the lake. We didn't come up with a date, and I looked at different marinas and other privately owned properties around the lake, and everybody just said no. They all said, yeah, that's a nice idea, but we don't have any room for it. And finally, the last resort, after I got through all the privately owned property, was to come to the Naval Reserve Armory, and I talked to the captain,
which is right next door.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Mohi. What's now Mohi?
The commanding officer, and he said that's a good idea, just as everybody else said. And then he said, "Tell you what, if you could do it during 4th of July weekend, you can have the site." Because they didn't have any training during 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
And so that's how it became a 4th of July operation. And we got lots of different boats coming in. There was, a matter of fact, there was one schooner that had left Astoria a couple of years before. It crossed the Pacific, and I got a call from it when it was about 200 miles west of Strait of Juan de Fuca. Was coming back in, and this guy was had radio contract with a lot of people, and he had heard that we're going to have this festival in Lake Union, and so he called me and said, "Save me a place."
Wow.
So he came in. It was a whole wonderful thing. We set up a lot of exhibits. Beside the boats, we had a couple of people building a skiff. Casting was done by some, forging by some, and my wife's idea to have a toy boat place, so kids and adults can work out together. So at the end of the and by the way, the captain called me. I think it was a day before 4th of July, and said, you have to get liability insurance.
Oh, no.
And I called a lot of insurance places, and they said they couldn't do it. No, we need more time, and blah blah blah. And so then I called the guy that was insuring our houseboat, and he said yes, he would, and it was for $1,000 for the weekend. And I didn't have the money, but I asked one of my supporters, and she said, "Okay, I'll give you $1,000, but this is just for you. Got to pay me back."
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So
I asked another one who was a very good craftsman, and I said, "Make me a box that people can put in donations for the insurance." And he did. He made it was like a tiny little, like a sea chest, except smaller. And at the end of the first the festival, we had more than $1,000, and we had a lot of memberships, and we had a nice going from the captain. He said, "As long as I'm running this place, you can have it on 4th of July."
Wow. Was it a 3-day festival that first year?
3 days.
It was. Wow.
It just worked out that way.
How many people you think attended, Dick?
We didn't really have a count, but it was a few thousand.
A few thousand people. Yeah.
Which is good considering that there was
first
not much pre advertisement about it. It was just word of mouth.
It was free admission.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we did have other places for other donations. We for food, we did it ourselves. We had several people made chocolate chip cookies. They all tried the same recipe, but they all tasted different. and then hot dogs and coffee.
Yeah.
So that was the
that was the menu, huh?
Yeah, that was the menu.
Cool.
Yeah.
How many boats do you think were there, Dick?
There were about 100 boats.
About 100 boats.
Yeah.
Any boats stick out to you that you remember? Bigger boats, maybe, or?
There were a lot of garden design boats, a lot of seaborne design boats. I just really can't remember. I mean,
you had a schooner there from some.
Yeah.
Was that how big a schooner was that?
It was about 60 feet.
Wow.
And and it was a peak color design. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyway, so at the next exhibit, my wife was. We had use of the Armory building itself, which is huge inside, a lot of space.
Oh wow!
And so for the first year, we didn't have any real exhibits in there. We had some talks and about from some boat builders, and they were very well received. But my wife Colleen put together an exhibit of Native American canoes for the second one, and in the third one she did, and she got in all the boats and photos and music and a lot of. Well, anyway, and the third one was using. The theme was the American Indian, Northwest carved Indian canoes, and she actually got some that she borrowed from the about to become museum in Astoria. It was very. That's where she got the idea for the icon. We went down to that museum, and it was in the old City Hall with a lot of little rooms, and so you had to go from one room to another. There was not much continuity, but she found a lot of photos of the boats that were the fishing boats of that area, and especially the gill netters. And so she said to the director, can we borrow that picture? So he took it off the wall. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, to get it. Yeah, and so we took it down here and got photos of it and sent them back. But anyway, that's how we got our icon, our logo, which was, we were looking for something that would really show, make people aware of a Northwest Maritime Museum.
Yeah. So, Dick, when you planned that first festival, did you have in mind at that time that it would become an annual event?
No, I didn't. But we really agreed at the end. The commanding officer of the Naval Reserve wanted it too, and it's mainly because the place was, as a Naval Reserve, was really sort of locked off to just plain civilian people. It was used as a college for keeping up on things for the that the Navy needs to let their people know. But he liked it because he has to give a report at the end of every year, and one is community connections. So that's.
Oh, I see. So I helped him out too.
Oh, yeah, he loved that. All these thousands of people that would come, but it was just on like 3 days. It was.
Yeah.
But he didn't say that.
Wow.
Okay, so the event was a must-do, we believed, and it gave us an idea on sort of challenging people to this is how you can tie knots, this is how you can cast
Bronze?
Yeah, bronze, all those things that would help the public understand that we teach those things, day by day too. It's not just 1 3-day thing. And we also, to raise money, we had started having auctions, and the first auctions were, it was a totally unplanned thing. I just said to everybody, bring in anything you have that you ordinarily never wanted. And things came in, and they were piled up, and I had a minister who was a volunteer to be the person running the auction. And so things were just kind of piled in like a pyramid in the street, and people would just stand around. And I remember there was in one of them, an old friend was standing just across from me off the ring of people, and I raised my hand and said, "Hi, Jim," or something like that, and the auctioneer said, "Well, you got a can of paint."
Oh, really? By raising your hand, huh? Yeah.
So anyway, it was very, everything was very, very loose and kind of play by ear through the years. Then, when I can't remember how early it was, or the first time they started putting out the fireworks on the at Gasworks Park. But once it did that, we were getting more organized about the auction, and we would have dinner first, and the tables all along the wall, and a big buffet for dinner, and then the auctions would go, and then there were it was the auctions were all finished, but then the fireworks went up. It was good.
Wow.
It meant a lot to us in so many ways. The different people that came, the ones that were just so many were boat builders that were retired, and they had learned their boat building by after school sweeping up the shop or something like that, and then step by step they would be learning to how to plank the boat and read the lofting and all. And they were the kind of people that would come, and they just were so happy to see what we were doing. It was totally, it was a big surprise, but they were just very. It sort of woke them up. They were living their life again. They locked, and there were the same thing with the fishermen that really had to go through a real hard work to be able to get into any value as a to their bosses, and they were very happy to just tell us everything they knew right away, and just be there to say, what can I do for you?
Did Bill Garden attend any of those?
He never came to any of them.
Okay.
But,
I was curious.
But he and I were talking to each other. And
yeah. How about John Gardner?
Oh, he didn't.
No, okay.
He went to the one at Port Townsend.
Yeah,
once.
okay. I was just curious.
But he was very supportive.
Yeah.
Very, very supportive.
Cool. So, Dick, how has the festival evolved over the years? How has it changed or stayed the same?
I think we have a lot more thought about it, because we have the properties doesn't belong to the Navy anymore. It belongs to the city, and that adds a lot of well, it's going along fine. We have more help, more paid help, more of our volunteers, and there is and I think the earlier years just helped a lot. We know what works and what doesn't work, pretty much, and so and we have more boats to use, and it's just, I mean, we are getting more and more help through the media, and so
it's still held July 4th around that time.
Yes.
And the toy boat building, which Colleen suggested the first year, that's gone on every year, hasn't
yes,
it? Yeah. We brought our boys.
If we had copyrighted that, we'd be millionaires.
Yeah, really.
Every year.
Yeah. We brought our boy. We have 5 boys, and when they were young in the 90s, we came down here, and they all built boats and sailed them. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah, they really enjoyed that, so that was a highlight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, Dick, anything else you'd like to add here before we start with Aislinn?
Well, one more thing. In the very first one, of course, that's the one I remember the most. The commanding officer said we had to get the insurance, and we did. So we knew ahead of time about that. And he also said, I forgot that you shouldn't be on this property unless you're a nonprofit, and so I made sure right after he told me that right after the first one was over, and we got our 501c3. But the other thing that he asked me for is to the next time we come, bring the toilet paper.
Oh. You go through a lot of toilet paper with that many people, huh?
Yeah. He told me their budget doesn't allow any more toilet.
Funny. Okay, Dick. Well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. And we're going to pause here for a second and then talk to Aislinn for a minute. So thank you. Okay, we're back, and now I'm with Aislinn. Did I pronounce that right?
That's right, yeah.
Aislinn Palmer. So, Aislinn, you were just telling me a little bit about your background. Tell me where you're from and what you were doing when you were a kid.
So, I'm from Camden, Maine, which is mid-coast Maine, about 2 hours north of Portland. And it's just a little coastal town that has a lot more people in the summer than year-round. We're very tourism-driven. And then also, of course, fishing. So I definitely grew up around lots of lobstermen and going out in fishing boats and things like that. And then there's a very vibrant kind of day sailing schooner community there. Lots of boats winter in Florida and come up and stay in Camden all summer.
Oh.
So that is when I first got into sailing on much larger boats than we have here.
Is that part of the what's called the Windjammer fleet?
It is, yeah.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, so then there's a Windjammer weekend every Labor Day. And yeah, so there are Windjammers and they do races out in the harbor.
Yeah. Okay. So you grew up around boats. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been here at the Center for Wooden Boats?
I've been here at CWB for about 4.5 years. I started as a volunteer, as a lot of us do. And was just here so much. One day they were like, how about you work here? And I said, I don't know, guys. But they talked me into it, and it's been quite an adventure ever since. So.
Yeah. So how long have you been the festival director?
This will be my third festival.
Okay.
In charge.
Yeah.
Festival president, my...
That's your official title?
Yeah, but that's what my name tag says.
Okay. So, wow, that's a lot of work.
It is, yeah. And Dick was talking about how the auction and the festival used to be at the same time, and as the person who is in charge of both of those things, I'm really glad they're not at the same time anymore.
Yeah. When's the auction?
The auction's in March, typically.
It is? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So this is the 38th annual festival, and we just talked to Dick about how it started. So give me some highlights of some of the things that's going to happen this year. And,
yeah.
Especially for those that haven't been before, that are listening, that might want to come down.
Definitely. So we keep a lot of elements the same year over year. It's reliable. It's always 4th of July and whatever the closest weekend is. We did do a 5-day festival a few years ago, and that I don't recommend it. This 3-day is like right in the sweet spot. So we'll still have the toy boat building, which is really popular. A cool thing we're doing this year is walk-up boat building. Because we do the quick and daring, which I'll come back to. And last year we did something called family boat building, where families were able to register ahead of time and build a boat together. But we had a lot of people who would come up and be like, I want to do this. And we're like, oh, well, this is a class you have to sign up for, and sorry, you can't do this. And we're not that kind of place. So our youth programs manager, Tyson, put some thought into it, and he was like, what if we just build a boat during the festival that anybody can come up and help with? And then we're going to sell raffle tickets, and you could win the boat. So, so that's something I'm really excited about that's new this year. Another thing that's new this year is we've partnered with Seafair, they've been around for 60 years. They're a very established Seattle organization, and they last year took over the fireworks. So they run the whole thing up at the north end of the lake on Gasworks, and one of the things we were finding is as Lake Union Park next door to us opened, as Mohi opened, as this area became much more visible than it ever was before, we were getting way more people. On the 4th of July, there can be 25,000 people here. And that's a lot of infrastructure. That's a lot of porta potties. Yeah. Dick mentioned the toilet paper, and that just made me laugh because that is still an issue 38 years later.
Really?
So we thought, what are some ways that we can get out of the large festival, almost like carnival type business, right? Because we want to focus on the boats, and we don't want to have to worry about those thousands of people who aren't really here to see boats. They're here to see fireworks, while still serving the people who are here to see both. The people who bring their boats here so they get the great view of the fireworks on the 4th. So we approached Seafair and said, what do you guys think about you doing the 4th of July, the hullabaloo, the giant beer garden, and all of that, and we'll focus on the activities and the education. So that's what we're piloting this year, and I'm actually really excited about it.
So where will they do the beer garden and all that fireworks?
So they are going to use most of the park. We are going to use
outside CWB
exactly.
here.
So
I see.
We'll still use the pond, the model boat pond, with our model boats on it. We still have all the wharfs. We bring in extra docks special for this event.
But it'll be set up. The perimeter will be a little different. It'll be smaller out there in front.
So where our activities are will be much smaller footprint. They'll be much more drawn in, mostly in what we call our uplands area, which is the area just to the south of our floating buildings. And on the 4th, Seafair will really be in the park. The beer garden will be in the park. Their food vendors, their other activities will all be there. This isn't set yet, but there's hope that we'll have Valley Street closed. They've applied for that with the city. Valley Street was designed to be able to be closed for things like that, street festivals, now that Mercer is open and people can drive through that way. So their hope is to close Valley Street and have a music stage out there, that far out. And the National Guard is one of their major sponsors, so they're bringing in some big trucks and a misting tent and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah.
I like that idea because I remember the last few years with the new park here, the festival seemed so big. It
there's
seemed
a lot
less personal
Absolutely.
than in prior years.
And we noticed that too. And we wanted to do better to control the experience of the people who are really here to see the boats.
Yeah. Very cool. So it's July 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Correct.
And is admission free?
Admission is free.
Donations accepted?
Please donate.
Right.
But admission is free. And we do free boat rides every Sunday year-round. We really take public access seriously here. And so even when people are like, maybe we should charge for that, we're like, I think let's not charge and let's just ask instead. And so if people have a great time, then maybe they're more inspired to give a little more. But we really want anyone to be able to come and experience these boats.
How many boats do you expect this year, roughly?
So we bring in around 60 additional boats. We also have a lot of boats on site here.
How many boats have you owned?
So our collection, which includes storages and things that are not in the water, is about 150 boats.
Wow.
Sometime you should talk to our fleet operations manager, Kyle, and maybe there's some weird, cool things hidden in our storage.
Is that up at North Lake?
We store at North Lake, and then we have another space down here in the neighborhood that's donated to us. So I think of our boats that are in the water, it's probably around 40, and including the boats that stay up at the wharf. So it'll be around 100 boats altogether.
100 boats, yeah. And any real special boats that'll be here this year that come to mind?
Adventurous. They're a crowd favorite, a really beautiful ship, 1913 BB Crown and Shield. And so they're coming back. We're really happy to partner with them. The Lotus, MV Lotus, has the last couple years kind of taken up more residency here. She's historically out of Port Townsend, but she's been spending more time here, and she will be here for the festival, so I'm excited about that.
And she has lodging available too.
She
right?
does, which is pretty cool. I have stayed on board the Lotus. It's quite the experience. It's one of the only boats / houseboats I've ever seen that has a clawfoot tub on board, which I did not try. But it's a really amazing experience, so I suggest everyone try it. It's really reasonable, too.
Yeah.
Some of the other fun boats, Yankee Clipper's coming.
Is that a schooner?
It is, yeah.
Where's that boat from?
It's Sea Scouts. The Sea Scouts run that boat. Yeah.
What location?
I don't know. Dan would know. Sorry.
Is that Tacoma? Tacoma, I don't
No,
think.
it's more local than that. I think they're just right around here.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think anyone's coming from too far away. There's a boat that Jensen has been restoring, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. And it's been a really serious overhaul, and it's just beautiful Bristol, racing boat that they're going to be bringing by, and so I'm excited for that. And also, Dick, we mentioned garden earlier. There's at least one, if not possibly 3 garden boats coming. That we did a little kind of impromptu garden rendezvous here, just trying to get some of them down on the docks, and a few people couldn't make it, but we're like, oh, let's try this for the festival and see, to try to curate
Any
a little more. Noreen, Hal Herland's boat, Noreen, is coming. And she's, I think, around 50 feet. Just a cute little boat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as activities for people coming, you've got the toy boat building. You've got, they can go out on boats for free. They can help build a boat.
They can help build a boat.
Yeah, what kind of boat are they going to build?
I'm not sure, actually. Tyson is making the
Probably
plans
a rowboat
for it. Yes, it'll be a rowboat.
I think they were doing an El Toro last year.
They did build El Toros last year.
But that was part of the class.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. And there's the Quick and Daring. Yeah. So tell us about that.
We've had some great interest in Quick and Daring this year. I'm excited. Teams have to make up a design and submit it to Dick. And if we had too many designs and he didn't like one, he technically could not let them come. But typically we let everybody in.
Okay.
And so they make up their boat design and then have to bring on all their materials, and they can have plans or patterns, but they can't have pre-cut any of the pieces. And all of their materials get weighed, all of their tools get weighed, and they have 24 hours to put this together.
So they have a weight limit on tools and materials?
Yep. So, and they get points based on all of that. And then once the boats are put together on Sunday at 4, we will have a race. It's a 3-leg race. They have to row a leg, they have to sail a leg, and then it's kind of a free-for-all back to the starting point if they haven't sunk by then. Although the last few years we've had some very seaworthy entrants, and so I'm really holding out for a sinker this year. It's, it makes it a little more fun for the audience. Yeah.
How many boats did you have last year?
I think we only had 3 last year, but we've had up to 6 before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds fun. Okay. And any other activities people should know about? Is it the same all 3 days? If people can come any one day, or if they come more than one day, is there different activities?
That's a great question. It is... So the 4th is going to look a lot different than the other 2 days, mostly because Seafair is here in the park, and then Seafair is doing a music stage. It'll be more of a contemporary music, whereas on the 5th and the 6th, where we work with Pilgrim Media Services to do all of our booking, and they book maritime music, they book folk music, and some things that have more to do with our mission. Yeah, exactly.
I can't see Seafair music.
No, So the music will definitely be different Saturday and Sunday versus on Friday, and there'll be a little more breathing room on Saturday and Sunday. I honestly recommend people come those days instead
Saturday
of the 4th.
and Sunday.
I mean, if you are really want to be here for the fireworks, then do that.
But it's kind of just more pure wooden boat stuff.
I think you'll have a little more fun if you're here on Friday or Saturday, or on Saturday or Sunday.
Are there classes being taught that people can sit in on, or boat building or anything like that?
There is a class. It is the Bidarka. There's Bidarka building.
Oh, okay. Is that with Corey Friedman?
Yep, Corey is running that. So you can watch.
You can sign up ahead of time?
Yes, you can sign up ahead of time. I know we've already got a few people. Yes, you build your own boat that is sized specifically to you. Yeah. And it's a really cool experience.
We've been doing that here for quite a few years.
We have, and Corey's great.
Yeah.
So that'll be going on. On Friday, there will be a youth program wrapping up. So then those kids will be launching their boats. It's a youth boat building class. So they'll be doing their own little launch on Friday. So that'll be pretty fun.
Yeah. So what about parking, transportation, all that's always kind of an issue.
It is,
you're
absolutely.
Right downtown Seattle.
Yep.
What do you recommend?
I recommend taking the streetcar, definitely. It stops right in the park. There are parking lots that are closer to downtown. There's parking lots that are kind of in the on the border of downtown to South Lake Union that are owned by Vulcan, and they do special weekend rates in those lots because they're in
parking lots.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that can be a safer bet. Westlake, there is public parking, but it's not always as safe. There's sometimes some break-ins over there. AGC building is a great option, honestly.
Oh, really?
They have a huge parking lot. They have really reasonable rates.
They have underground parking.
And they have underground parking.
Oh.
And I recommend people park there all the time whenever they come here, even not during that festival.
Can you get information online about the streetcar and where routes and parking? Do you know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, and we have some on our website as well.
Okay. And what's the website address?
Our website is cwb.org.
That's so simple.
I know,
love
right?
it. There's like no 3-letter domain.
I think that exactly. That's how you know we're really seasoned. Is that our simple email address, or website address?
So Dan Leach is sitting here right next to me. Dan, anything you want to add about the festival this year?
Only that it's going to be
about
awesome.
CWB. Okay.
Only that it's going to be awesome. Aislinn does a wonderful job at
Aww.
this, and I can't wait. I'm hoping we get a sinker this year too.
Right?
Several years ago in the Quick and Daring race, one of the builders used dry ice and paper, and it was novel. And as a boat builder, you go, "Wow, that's unique." And
that was Adam Karpensky of Karpensky Marine Carpentry. I'll plug him there.
It lasted one stroke.
Oh, seriously?
They flipped the boat over instantly in one stroke. And you know how dry ice when it hits?
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
A little fog on the lake.
I will give you a picture so you can post that on your website.
It was pretty spectacular.
Nice.
It was very spectacular.
He was kind of going for that a little bit.
I think he was.
Going down in a plume of smoke.
Yeah. It was very innovative design. It didn't score highly on the usability and, because part of the judging criteria is
can you take it home?
Can people take it home, and will other people be interested in building your design? And so when because I get to sit on the judges panel, we sat around and said, well, we give him high marks for original design. We give him low marks for buildability and usability and functionality. So in the end, he didn't win. He didn't score highly.
He does some really fine woodworking stuff. I think I've seen some of his.
He's also the creator of hot tub boats. He invented hot tub boats.
Oh, he's a hot tub boat guy.
Yeah, so I think innovation should maybe be his middle name, actually.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyways, people should come. It's going to be an awesome festival.
Very
it always
cool.
is.
Yeah, very good. Okay, well, anything else you'd like to add, Aislinn? We wrap it up here.
I hope to see you there. Come get in a boat.
If you're from out of town, you can fly into Seattle, and you're 25 minutes from 30 minutes from the airport, depending on traffic.
Yeah, depending on traffic. I will say you can fly into the airport, get on the light rail, get off the light rail onto a streetcar, and be right here. I mean, you could come from the airport to Center for Wooden Boats and have walked maybe 2 blocks. So that's pretty good.
Pretty awesome. Okay, well, thanks a lot for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by.
Okay, Aislinn, take care. Okay, we're back for a quick addendum. Aislinn, you wanted to add something here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot a pretty key component of this festival is that for the whole month of June, or starting June 9th through July 6th, so it ends the last day of our festival, we're starting a crowdfunding campaign for one of our Blanchard Junior Knockabouts. So we have a fleet of Blanchard Junior Knockabouts that gets used very heavily. It's our primary teaching boat, and then since so many of our students learn in those boats, they love renting them. They're designed, for use in a lake like ours, and we've been undertaking this pretty huge process of restoring our whole fleet. They just, through years of heavy use, had gotten a little behind in their maintenance schedule, and our boat shop team takes pride in making sure that those boats get all caught up. So if they've been cycling through all of the boats, this is the last one. We just need this final push to get the last Blanchard fixed up for the summer.
Crowdsourcing?
So it's an Indiegogo campaign that starts on June 9th.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see the boat during the festival. It'll be in the shop. Joe Green, our lead boatwright, will be doing other demonstrations, but he'll be here talking about the boats. We'll have more information about Blanchard in general. I mean, a Lake Union legend, really, as Dick likes to say.
Yeah.
And so we would love to get more people involved. And the top donor to that boat gets to name it, which is also pretty exciting. And there are some rules that, but
What's your funding goal for that, do you know?
The funding goal overall is $16,000.
$16,000
Yep.
to finish that last boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they go to Indiegogo.com and put in Center for Wooden Boats, that'll bring it up?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that starts June 9th.
It does.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for adding that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Thanks again, Dick and Aislinn, for being part of the podcast and telling us really fun stories about the history of the Lake Union Wooden Boat Festival and what's happening this year at the festival. And once again, it's July 4th through the 6th, 2014, South Lake Union, Seattle, Washington. If you have questions or want more information, you can go to cwb.org. I love short website addresses like that. 6 letters complete. Oh, I guess if you add www, which nobody says anymore. And by the way, you don't need to enter that into your browser, but anyway, if you did add that, it'd be 9 letters and 2 periods, so a total of 11 characters if you want to get technical. Anyway, I hope you can make it to the festival. I'm going to be there at least one day, and I don't know which day, either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I'm going to do some interviews, take some photos, and have some fun. Last year, they were kind enough to let me mooch a little rowboat and get out on the water and take pictures, which was really a blast. You get a whole different perspective on things. Well, if you'd like to connect with me, you can do so via email, YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, or Twitter. My handle on those sites is WoodenBoatDan. You can leave a voicemail message for me at hookedonwoodenboats.com/voicemail. And if you'd like to support the podcast and you make purchases on Amazon, if you before you make your purchase, if you go to hookedonwoodenboats.com/Amazon, then make a purchase within 24 hours. I get paid a 4% commission, which helps pay for the podcast. Or if you'd like to contribute a tip to the podcast, you can go to my homepage, and on the right-hand side, there's instructions on how to do that. And I appreciate everyone that does that. Thank you very much. Well, I hope you have a great week this week. Summer is upon us, at least here in the United States. Weather's getting better, and I have not been out on the water yet. But anyway, I hope to get out soon. I hope you're getting out on the water, having some fun. And have a great week. Keep the bright side up and the barnacled side down. Wooden Boat Dan, over and out. God bless. We'll talk again in 2 weeks.